From Hammett, King B Powerworks.
Similar look to the previous machine, which reached the semi-finals of the second wars with the rear saw and flipper 3,000 watt driven motors. Experienced, quick, manoeuvrable, worth watching closely.
Roboteers, stand by.
King B, we've seen them before. Simon Harrison is the driver and the weaponry. Grant Hornsby's alongside him. And Kronic 2, blue with a fierce-looking face. John Lang, his son Dave, and Mike Gardner, who works with John. Working in the arena for the house robot, Sergeant Bash. Great long-range flamethrower weapon and the pincers. And Shunt is in there again. Real hunger for battle in this heat, Shunt.
3, 2, 1,
Good looking fight here. Kronic 2 with the classic wedge shape and the flipper at the front. Oh, immediately getting in underneath King B Powerworks. Has a half a centimetre of ground clearance. What came off Kronic 2 there? One of the little spikes, I think. The yellow blood-tipped spines, they say. And another one, I think it's flown away there. And Kronic 2 bashed against their inner side wall. King B Powerworks certainly looks to me the quicker and more powerful of the two machines. Again on the attack, King B using the front fangs, which double up as a lift, and they pierce Kronic 2's side. You can see the hole in there, and they push Kronic 2 into the CP set. Simon Harrison and Grant Hornsby need to get out of there, because otherwise the house robots can come out with devilment and also with destructibility. Hanging on King B Powerworks again by impaling itself there on the side of Kronic 2 on the aluminium and steel frame, pushing Kronic 2 towards Sergeant Bash. On its side, Kronic 2 cannot get away. Shunt coming in with the axe. King B Powerworks worrying and antagonising, irritating. Now I think coming for an onslaught using the saw blade. But a saw reminiscent of Pussycats. The spines are on fire on Kronic 2, which seems seconds away from defeat. Not many of those spines left. Oh, King B Powerworks drove itself onto a side angle grinder. A little bit silly. Should it go to the judges? I think it will. They'll have to mark on style, control, damage and aggression. And they'll have to make the decision. Both robots mobile at the end. Good start by Kronic 2 using the flipper. King B Powerworks opening itself up for an attack, but from then on really dominated the fight for me, slamming Kronic on the side wall, into flames, the spines were burning. King B looked manoeuvrable, nifty, stylish, controlled. Has to be King B for me. Damage caused to Kronic 2.
Oh, tense, 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 tense. The judges have made a decision. They're looking at style, control, damage and aggression. They've gone for King B! Well done, guys. Well done. Well, you're through.
Well, we're back again, yeah, and we're through.
It's a very strong robot, very fast as well.
Yeah, yeah.
What drives it?
It's the highest voltage the rules will allow, and it makes us give a good punch.
What are the tactics on a thing like that? Because it is very sort of fast.
Hit them hard. Hit them hard.
Hit them hard. Win them. Take the wind out of the sails.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for King B. Well done, guys.
Roboteers are just like anyone else. Sometimes they take a while to get going. Sometimes that's my job here in the pits, to get them going before they go in there. How are you feeling about the opposition?
No problem at all. We'll trash them.
Trash them. I want insults. Come on, come on.
Everyone hates wedges. Look at that, just a wedge.
Just a wedge.
We're going to fill them full of holes.
Fill them full of holes.
There'll be no Dominator 3.
No?
Square bot, square blokes. We're going to have them.
And that's the best they can do.
From Hammett, King B Powerworks.
Hi, I'm Simon. This is Grant. We're the King Buxton team. The name Powerworks comes from the fact that we're using the highest voltage that the rules will allow in our power system for the drive. We're also running the same system for the saw at the back. It actually runs 8,000 RPM. We've had some reliability problems in the past, but when we're on a run, I think we're going to be doing quite well.
Roboteers, stand by.
Ooh, the blinking eyes of Sir Killalot. He means to menace Dominator 2, perhaps. There's the team. Paul, Peter and Chris. And King B Powerworks with Simon Harrison and Grant Hornsby in the control pod. There's their machine. Fighting for the house robots. We've seen Sir Killalot, who looks mean and moody. Magnificent. Somehow unshunt, feisty, aggressive.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Very good battle this. Dominator 2, possibly more impressive in its earlier fight. King B Powerworks needed a judge's decision to separate it from Kronic. And it's Dominator 2's axe dominating the proceedings early on, and King B Powerworks chased into the CPZ there by Shunt, but very quick to turn and get away at 16 mile an hour top speed. Manoeuvrable around that arena. Dominator 2, when it gets a run, can actually get up to 20 mph. Down comes the axe once again with a force of 12 kilos, trying to penetrate that sort of plexiglass armament on top of King B Powerworks, but not managing to do so. You can see there the saw, the circular blade at the front of King B, the forks at the back as well. How can it damage Dominator 2 though? It's a major problem. Side by side, no place to duck or hide. King B Powerworks turns to have a forward thrust, but it's Dominator 2's axe that comes down, and now they have pierced the armament of King B right there in the seal between the plexiglass on top and also the weaponry, the forklift thrusters. They're away, they've got another chance to fight again, but it's Dominator 2 doing all the work here. Semi-finalists beaten by Pussycat in the fourth wars, and again they're dragging King B Powerworks towards them. You can see the wheels spinning there of King B trying to get away. It'll go to the judges. For me, Dominator 2 on top.
Way! Fantastic round 2 battle. Dominator looked like it dominated that, but both robots are still fully mobile in the arena. We're going to have to wait for a judge's decision on that. While they're making up their minds, let's review the highlights.
Well, Craig, Dominator 2 had the axe, and I think that was the decisive difference between the two machines. Slamming, banging, finally piercing, and that for me was the telling moment in the battle. King B Powerworks nagged away, but Dominator 2 was the more aggressive and caused the more punishment.
Well, there's not really any tension here. The judges have not surprised us, really. They've gone for Dominator 2! How many perforations did they put in you?
Hundreds. Hundreds.
Sometimes it looked like it'd gone in so deep that it couldn't actually get itself out again.
It's tough, it's tough. It will keep going with a lot of damage, but...
Well, you guys are tough as well, because, I mean, that is probably the best axe in the business. And
absolutely.
You were still going, and a lot of the times it was bouncing off your casing.
Well, we didn't want to stop, you know. We wanted to just keep trying to go and trying to go. There's no point in giving up. You never give up in this game. It's just not worth it. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, you're a tough robot, but, you know, you're not too disappointed about that?
Not at all, no. We just love having a bloody good fight. You know, we don't mind. It's not winning. We just don't want to lose badly.
You just want to rumble!
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. King B! Good losers. Very good losers.